Well, hello again. We have been having on and off measures of success with this thing. I went through and readjusted the tormat, memory unit, contacts, and all that in the back. And it would pick up every single record to include the first one, but it would only pick it up if I pressed A2. If I pressed A1, it would just go right by it. However, we were at least getting it to pick up the first record on one side. The rest of the records would pick up fine. And then you press another button, and the next thing you know, all she wants to do is scan back and forth continuously. I don't understand that. 1 minute is fine, next minute doesn't want to work at all. Let's see what will happen now. She's just being cantankerous, you know. Alright, let's try A2. See if it'll either pick the record up and play it, or it'll just keep scanning. I don't know. Strangest thing. A2. I bet you're getting tired of watching this stupid thing go back and forth. See, now it picked up A2. See there? It's got good sound and everything. It's doing great. Pretty good, huh?
Well, I can see your advertising.
Now we'll shut her down. Just puts her back okay. She goes up and back, and then she'll shut down on the next trip, hopefully. Nope. Look at her. All she wants to do is just keep on running. Just keep on running. Is that the goofiest thing you ever saw? Strange as can be. Ah, well. Let's go back to this position here. See if we can shut it down with our... Yeah, we can finally shut it down with that. Oh well, I don't know. I just keep working, I guess. One more time on adjusting these plungers, which are these things up here in this plunger block. Too much of a space between these outside brackets is holding this thing, so I stuck a flat washer in there. It's making the whole thing kind of screwy, you know. So I've tightened up these screws on the side and it didn't do any good, so I stuck a flat washer in there to use as a shim, because the bracket that holds this whole block mechanism, this long bracket that sticks out here, I don't know if you can see it or not, that entire long bracket that goes all the way back, it's kind of tilted to the right like this. Now I've looked at the bolts all the way back there that hold that thing in place. Those bolts have never been touched. You can usually tell when there's been, you know, movement, because this is soft metal. Neither one has ever been touched, and I really don't want to take it apart at this stage of the game. You know, if it's only a shim, that'll hopefully solve part of our problem. I've got the plungers set exactly where the book says to set them. Let's give it another try. Now once again, before I went back there and adjusted that plunger block, I had to have the mechanism in the center of the rack, and it had to be in the play position, which it is, because the clamp is in and the record was turning, so it's in the play position. Alright, I've got it plugged in. Let's see what happens here. She's playing. Alright.
Land of beauty where gardenias grow. Well, it's whisper in the dust, I know.
Alright, what we're going to do is see if it'll pick up A1 or A2 without just continually running back and forth. I don't know. We have no money in the machine. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, A1. And nothing's happening. Can you believe that? Let's try it again. A1. I got some touchy switches there, huh? Well, nothing's happening. Nothing. God, I cannot get over it. Let's try E9. See if it's going to pick up anything. Jesus, this is irritating me to no end. E9. Guess I'm going to have to clean some switches again. There's E9. Alright. At least she's picking that up. pick up. We can try A2. Let's try A2 here as soon as this thing stops again. I know you're getting tired of seeing this thing go back and forth. I sure am. It's just an incredible... I can't get over this. Okay, we have no money in the machine. You know, if this is real money, I'd be making some bucks here. Okay, let's go. Hey, let's try A2. Come on, baby. Do your thing. Okay, A2 works. Don't ask me why A1 is not working. I do not know. Yeah, baby.
Well, I can see your advertising.
Okay, now we also have a record in K9. If it'll pick up K9, I think this is going to be about as good as it gets. I cannot figure out why one record side will not play. I have no idea. I mean, we've worked on it as much as we can. Now watch it. She's just going to decide to keep going and going for no reason at all. Okay, let's try K9. Okay, that's the one on the end down here. K9. All right, she's picking her up. I don't know what to tell you. I just don't know what to tell you, guys. Anybody out there know why it won't pick up A1? I'm all ears. Well, it's the next day, and I'm on my way back to the shop to do a couple more rounds with the juke. Along the way, I figured I'd give those who are interested kind of an update on what's going on with the old garden. The potatoes are really flourishing, with the exception, of course, of Buzz 1151's potato patch. Is this incredible? Not a single potato came up. Not one. I don't know. Either that or the animals just ate them because they were tastier. I don't know. Anyway, tomatoes are doing great. We'll get out of here in a second. Tomatoes are really getting up there. They're up to my neck now. And cucumbers are starting to go bananas. The bell peppers are getting thicker. They're not growing tall, but they're getting thicker and heavier. And these cucumbers over here, these are the big cucumbers. The ones I just showed you are the pickling cucumbers. And of course our horseradish is going bananas. Our scallions are finally developing into scallions. How about that, huh? We'll have a few scallions here in the not too distant future. And all the radishes are gone. I ate them all. Man, they were good. We had a good radish crop. I don't know, I might before the weekend is over. Today is Saturday, Memorial Day weekend. Before the weekend is over, I may decide to dig those up and plant some more radishes. I don't know. Might be able to get it for some more, even though the temperatures are really getting hot. Okay, enough of that. Let's head on out. I have this screwdriver out because there's something I have to do with it. I have to turn down the volume. These two tubes here are 6BJ6s, and they fit in the amplifier right here and right here. And you don't need to have them in the amplifier if you don't want. It says so in the book. Now these are your AVC tubes, and what it does is it compensates for some of the old rock and roll records and country records, mostly rock and roll, were louder than others. Some of them were soft, some of them were loud, and the AVC circuit was in there with these two tubes to compensate for the loudness. Okay, so you wouldn't have one record blasting everybody out of the local restaurant or whatever, and then the next one you couldn't hardly hear at all. So this would go ahead and take care of those problems. Now when I first got the jukebox, the two tubes were missing. I ordered a couple and we've been using them ever since. Well, one of our subscribers, Stephen Hinkle, he said, you might be having some problems with your AVC circuit when we were having, the speakers were not quite loud enough, And Brendan, he contacted me. He said, I'll tell you what, John, he says, those speakers should be so loud that they would, rock the walls. He said, your speakers, your sound is just not loud enough. Well, I kind of knew that, but that was acceptable to me. But not to him. So, you know, him being my mentor, you listen to what your mentor has to say. If you don't want to listen, then you shouldn't have a mentor. That's the way it is. So he said, here's what you do. I want you to pull those two ABC tubes out of there. And when I did that with a record playing, the noise level went so high it almost drove me out of the shop. It hurt my ear. I did not expect it to be that loud. It is unbelievably loud now without these two tubes, which means that this thing probably does, in fact, have an ABC circuit problem. It's not supposed to diminish the sound that much. Apparently, it's had an ABC circuit problem for a long time, but that's why the tubes were missing when we first got it. So we're going to, you know, after I get everything working on this thing, and Brendan and I will come back and work on the ABC circuit at a later date. Right now, we're still messing around with this thing, maybe picking up A1. It's working, you know, and the sound is now solved, but I got to get that volume down. It's horrendous. Let me go ahead and crank that down, and we'll fire up a record and let you hear a little bit. It's not going to be as loud as it is right now, I guarantee you. I couldn't stand it. All right, let's try C3. You can hear how much louder it is, huh? All right, now you kind of get an idea, and that's not even full volume. All right. Also, I noticed that when I have it turned down to a reasonable level, the treble has a pretty good effect now on the sound. The bass isn't doing anything, but the treble is working pretty good. So we'll mess around with that later on. But anyway, that solves our sound problem. You know, it's kind of a workaround. You know, take the tubes out. Let's move on and continue to try to keep this thing is still getting cantankerous from time to time. It just wants to keep going. After it plays the record and puts it back in the slot, it just wants to keep going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And I don't know why. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to turn this baby around. We're going to find out whether or not the contacts on the plungers, the plunger contacts, are actually hitting A1 up here. They're hitting A2 because you saw it pick up the record. Let's see what it's doing with A1. By the way, once we're done with this video, we're not going to be doing anything else for probably about a week. I want to unwrap the cabinet. I've got it all wrapped up in this tarp right now. We're going to unwrap the cabinet. We're going to go ahead and start installing stuff back in. And you don't need to see how all that's done. It's just a matter of sticking it on the wall and putting some screws in on the inside of the cabinet. None of this will be in there. I'm talking about the stuff underneath, you know, the ballast for the lighting and the wiring and all that sort of rot. You've seen that done before 1,000 times. But anyway, let's go ahead and shut it down, turn it around, and find out whether or not, and then we're going to, you know, select A1 and see if it, then shine a light up in there and see what's actually going on. See if those contacts are touching those little nubs on the bottom of that Tormat memory unit. Now the contact plunges we're talking about are these things right here, okay? They go, there's one in the front, and which is, I believe it's the right side of the record, and the one all the way to the rear is the left side of the record. And they have to make contact with these two sets of pins, one here and one there, depending on which of the toroid coils is energized. Will make it, it'll be sensed by these contact plungers, and then send the signal over to the Tormat. Anyway, down here is A1. I think it's this last set right here. So let's find out. You know, this, remember I told you this arm back here that holds this plunger block is kind of tilted a little bit. It could be that it's tilted just enough where it can't make contact here. I may have to wind up unloosening that bolt back there and that one back there, all the way right there, and kind of straighten that thing back up. It may be, I don't know, it may be our problem. You can see where it's still slightly askew right here, you know. Yeah, I'm going to try anything once. Okay, well, let's go ahead and hit A1, see what happens. Make sure we got some money. Yeah, we got some money according to this in there. A. Come on, baby. 1. Oh, now it wants to play. I don't believe this.
He said, I'll love you.
That's never happened before.
She told him,
what is going on here? Let me shut it down and try it again. Alright, I cranked the volume down a little bit more, and I had to go through my mind, what did I do differently to make A1 work? What did I do that I don't normally do? Well, after I turned it around, I went over here to the Tormat memory unit plug, and I made sure it was seated really well down in there like that. Could be our problem, you know? You never know. It's the only thing I did differently. So I'll tell you what. Now we know the contacts are being made. Let's go ahead and just hit A1 again. And this time I don't have to get down on the floor to do it. A1. Look at there. Look at that.
He said, I'll love you.
I still got to turn the volume down. Holy mackerel. Alright, here's what we're going to do. We're going to go ahead and turn this thing back around. And we're going to hit A1 again and see if it takes the record out. I just couldn't believe that just happened. You know, I just remembered there was one other thing I did last night before I shut down completely. I took the plug out of the pulse amplifier, this right here. And I gave it a good wire brushing and cleaned it real good, although I don't think that's the problem. I think it's going to wind up being a wiring contact problem or something, either there or in the back of the where the Tormat memory unit is. You know, there's a cover on that thing that I can remove, and I might want to go back there and take that cover off. A couple of screws. It has a seal on it and all that stuff, but the metal, I'll show you that later. If it decides to go ahead and work, the problem is it going to be temporary and we're going to be right back where we were shortly? I don't know. Let's try A1 again. Boy, this would be great if it worked. Look at that. Look at that.
He said, I'll love you.
Fantastic. As far as I'm concerned, it had to have been that plug. Maybe it was not all the way seated. I don't know. I've cleaned those contacts 1,000 times. Just want, boy, talk about weird, huh? Doesn't that irritate you to no end? Well, I don't know. I think what we can do now is call this thing fixed, huh? Isn't that a downer, huh? I don't believe it. Now, of course, we still have to clean this Tormat selector. Electrical selector is all this rust and crap, so I'll be working on that too. But we're probably not going to have, I'm going to call this thing temporarily fixed. How's that? If there's any changes in the process of messing with the amplifier and the Tormat, any changes that we run into with the electrical selector, I'll come back and do another video. But for right now, it's picking up all the records. I mean, what can you do? You know, you can't fix it if it's not broken. And I will... one of the deals here, I noticed that you see these metal tabs on the side of these plugs. They're there to keep that thing from moving. Well, this one over here has had them taken off. And this, I guess the vibration was to keep it. Could be that I've never had that thing all the way in enough on that one connector. Oh well, we'll see. I think what I'll do for now is just call an end to the video. And keep in mind now, we're not going to see it for at least a week. Tomorrow I probably won't do much at all, just kick around the house a little bit. Starting Mondays when we're going to do all the other stuff, okay? I appreciate everybody hanging with me. I appreciate all the comments, I really do. We're like one big Jukebox happy family. Let's try another one. Let me see. Let me put another record in. I can't leave it. Let's see what I got here. We got an Anne Murray, Diamonds Are Forever. Let me see if I can get a different record and put it in there and let you end this video on a good sound. Alright, here's a good one. I don't think we've tried D3 before. Let's try it. It's been working perfectly, by the way. Put some money in the machine. D3. Boy, it'd be great if this thing was finally fixed after all this time, wouldn't it? D3, out comes the record.
They say forever, boy and girl, they're just one love.
Some of you remember this one.
I know I found my
Isn't that nice?
the heavenly touch.
Let's check a little bass action here.
No one could take your place.
Little change in treble.
My heart.
Little bass change. Hear that? Alright. I'm pretty happy. I'll tell you what, let's just call this video over and I will see you next week. Until then, this is John.